All right, so this is Blue-White Stiflenought. We're playing it in a showdown. Paul Master hit me up. I got 17th place and 16 qualifies the showdown, but we got a no-show, so we bubbled in. Not too much to talk about Stiflenought that hasn't been talked about before. The only thing that I do different is I just run 4 Impulse instead of 2 Impulse to Opt. Impulse is just much more powerful. Our only dig is Impulse and Portent. So it's just super important for our dig to dig deeper. Opt for me sometimes digs 1 card. Sometimes it digs 2. But because you're not playing something like 12 cantrips in Gush, like you do in Grotog, like you do in Mono Blue Stiflenought, cantrip into cantrip into cantrip, like to kind of sort of turn into pseudo-demonic shooter, is a lot less reliable. So we've got Impulse to go deep. 3 Dazes, 2 Swords of Plowshares split. I'm pretty conflicted on this. I think it's hard to run Swords of Plowshares in the main deck. It's really just kind of conceding to opposing Meddling Mages, which is a totally reasonable thing to do. I just hate having them because they just kind of don't help the core game plan. Daze is one of my least favorite cards in Dreadnought, but it just helps you with the nut draws. Just go turn 2 Dreadnought with protection on the play. With Daze protection on the play is just devastating. So it just helps you angle into certain positions that you otherwise wouldn't. Free spells are broken, and the marginal equity helping you pick up islands for foil after playing them. Dreadnought's broken. Normal Dreadnought sideboard, we have Armageddon, which is the cool stuff. All right, it's showdown time, baby. Let's see how far I can get this time after a pretty disappointing run with Storm last time. The showdown never sleeps, though. And this time we're going to play Dreadnought, and we're going to keep a hand that has a lot of looks, 4 looks, 5 looks at turn 2 Dreadnought. Yeah, 5 looks at turn 2 Dreadnought. Let's go. Yeah. So, granted, if my opponent has anything, this is not very good. But I'm not going to pass up on... I'm not going to keep a hand like this and then just try to get Dreadnought with protection. Or, try to get a Gush. Plains is one of the kinds of lands that can interact with Phyrexian Dreadnought, but like I said, we are here to ball. Unfortunately, Stifle is one of the ones. If it was Vision Charm, then I would force out the Source of Plowshares, but now they can Source of Plowshares around Daze, and I'm going to be giving up the Ghost that I don't have the answer. Okay, we'll gain 12. Looks like opponent is on mono white. Again, Cursed Scroll does not matter. So mono white's kind of an interesting one. I don't actually know what the best way to interact with this matchup is. My opponent's just going to overload on removal and has a fair bit of artifact and enchantment guys to interact with me. Or rather, it has a bunch of seal removal type cards, disenchant type cards, etc., etc. And the artifact mana means that I can't Armageddon in game 2. But they don't have a ton of card advantage, so I could play a slow game. I could play a chill game. In fact, I'm definitely playing one the way this is going. So we're a little bit flooded, but all we need to do is draw an Impulse. Okay, opponent winding up. I have 5 cards in hand, so if I get a Meddling Mage, I'm still just going to name Swords of Plowshares. Opponent's Phyrexian Furnace also doesn't matter. Versions of this deck have at times had the card Null Rod, but I am not such a person. So we can jam again with foil backup against my opponent's 4 cards. But because we have the Portent, I'm going to wait. I think double backup is a reasonable amount to wait. So I'm just going to wait for double backup against my opponent's 4 cards. 5 cards, I guess, virtually. But I also could wait the maximum if I wanted to. It's a fair option, but they don't have a lot of mana. They only have 2 white sources. It's possible that I could just get in 12 damage. They're going to start attacking me with factories. This Thran Dynamo is not particularly threatening. It does unlock their mana, but so does everything. Seal of Cleansing. I will foil a Seal of Cleansing, even though I can stifle one later. They're just getting cards out of their hand for Cursed Scroll, right? Eternal Dragon. Eternal Dragon will meet Swords to Plowshares. Eventually. Since we want the Vision Charm, we're just going to pass with this Portent. I was holding this Adarkar Waste, holding an island. Should have held an island probably instead of the Adarkar Waste, but my opponent's deck does contain Dust Bowl, so it's something to look out for. Putting down to 3 cards in hand with a virtual 4th. So we're getting to the point where we want to think about jams. Let's draw this Vision Charm and take a look. Counterspell, Daze, foil. Okay, so that is double protection, exactly as we asked for. So, don't think we ignore that. Opponent can take a rando shot of Cursed Scroll. Decree of Justice for quite a few tokens. Gonna be honest, forgot Decree of Justice was a thing. But we're at a healthy life total here. So yeah, double backup is gonna be what it takes. Sad to have the Daze not live, obviously. Opponent can make Angels. Be kind of funny. Where the beatdowns have commenced. It's a 10 damage a turn clock. It could conceivably erase Dreadnought in some worlds. So I can't cast both foil and counterspell consecutively, which would make the Daze look quite good here. Humility, foil. What a card. All right, no time like the present. My opponent can literally put 12 damage in front, which is kind of funny. So, see what happens, I guess. I'm going to draw a Daze next turn. It's not a good Daze. My opponent could also pick up and play Eternal Dragon with this much mana, probably. Yeah, looks like it. They're short, actually. They're short 2. And they can also attack for 10 and then attack for 10 again. So 10 plus 10 is not enough, but they can try to get 3 attacks in. So they can attack for 10. I'll attack for 12. I don't think I'm going to plow a Mishra's Factory. Attack for 12, put them down to 10. Maybe forced to counterspell an Eternal Dragon almost. Forced to counterspell an Eternal Dragon either way. Imagine I don't use the Swords to Plowshares ever from this spot. Yeah, we're going to probably all in all our resources. That Cursed Scroll makes it possible for this this to go all the way. So I have to counter Swords to Plowshares. So I forgot about the Cursed Scroll. So yeah, my opponent could totally have gotten in 12 damage this turn. Glad I thought about it. I was about to let that damage go, and then I would have spelled death for me. Or not so much death as Plowsharing's my own Dreadnought to save 1 turn, which is kind of sad. But yeah, I have to counterspell anything that increases the clock. Wrath of God. Okay. You may have Wrath of God. I mean, if Wrath of God was their only interaction, it would have been very bad for them. They'll get a scroll me. But yeah, I mean, if they have Plowshares, that is going to be a mistake. All right, we've got Counterspell plus Daze. Fear us. But yeah, opponent's got 3 looks to find 2 removals. Or rather, 3 cards to find 2 removals. Looks like they're just going to cash in their look. So if they went the card that they were going to play, let's see, 4 mana. So if it's double Wrath of God, then Daze would have covered. But obviously Daze wouldn't have covered Wrath plus Plowshares on this turn. And they wouldn't have lost their Mishra's Factory. So, gotta be real. Opponent would have won this game, probably. I drew no Gush. I drew no Impulse. I drew a double Portent, though. It's actually quite good. Portent. I guess I did double Portent, and I didn't shuffle or manipulate my Portents at all. So never mind. Okay, opponent has a boatload of hate. So what do I not want? I know for sure I don't want Daze. Whether or not I want Swords to Plowshares is kind of like an interesting existential question. Swords to Plowshares is kind of the only answer to Eternal Dragon and the Exalted Angels that my opponents have. But my Mage is always going to name Swords. Well, it's not always going to name Swords. It actually names Wrath of God in a lot of scenarios. And like we definitely want this kind of interaction. So the big question is, once we get to say like this version, this build, this setup, foil, as you saw, I hardcast quite often. The question becomes, do we want Armageddon to limit my opponent's ability to cast like giant Decrees of Justice, operate their curse scroll, bring back Eternal Dragon, etc., etc. Because I could even, if I know I'm going to have Armageddon, I could even suppress their mana rocks. Just keep them off 7 from ever casting Eternal Dragon. But like sometimes casting Plowshares seems fine. But I'm never going to win a game that goes really long, right? You kind of saw what happens. That game would have gone obviously a lot differently if they didn't blunder the Wrath of God. These are all good cards. Sometimes I see Fran sort of reduce the amount of Dreadnought combo stuff that he has, but I don't really advocate for that. I think we're not going to worry about Armageddon. It's hard to imagine a way to like make the Armageddon meaningful. They got there on their Mindstone draw though. It's kind of impressive. Mindstone, hell of a card. Yeah, we're gonna go for Jam here. The Phyrexian Furnace. Start. Ooh, we gotta go Island. Hold up Annul for the seal. Sign me up. I might annul anything. Who knows? I guess I can maybe be slow. I don't know. What would you do? What would you do, chat? Well, now we have seal even covered. So that feels really good. The main thing I'm thinking is like I want to get this Portent shuffle value. I don't really want to get straight 2 for 1 against my opponent's untapped mana. Yeah, I'm good with these. So I want to draw the land and the impulse the most. No, I want to draw the land and the portent the most because after I go for combo, if my opponent doesn't interact, then I want to portent into Gush. Opponent probably cycles Phyrexian Furnace here. Right, let's see what they got. The question keeps on being if I annul random thing, Glow Rider. Okay, well, I don't want Portent or Impulse anymore. Those don't seem good to me. Luckily, that's not a Sphere Resistance. I kind of forgot about Sphere Resistance, too. Do I really want Swords to Plowshares for Glow Rider? Like, just play Swords? Oh, come on. I don't know. That Glow Rider, like, makes all of their things that matter cost more, too. So, granted, I can't beat, just Swords to Plowshares here. But I can beat a lot of other stuff. Well, I can beat Swords to Plowshares. I can just cast Vision Charm, which is currently the plan. Can't beat Double Plow. Come on. Just let me have it. Pretty please. Okay. Opponent decides they don't want to let me have it. Let's draw a land. Nice. 19 land deck coming through with the cards that it needs. Let's see if they cast a 5-mana Humility here. Rich Import. Relevant. Could actually push through something good, but it seems like it's just another Swords to Plowshares coming my way. Yeah. That's okay. Is what it is. Ooh, I guess we'll impulse for the island first to make sure we have the protection up, plus we have the annul. Wouldn't we like to have Gush? If we have island, would we cast it? We wouldn't play an island if we impulsed for it, and then we can't play any more spells after impulse, so let's hold up the annul. 3 dynamo, it's a lot of mana. Let's find a Gush, obviously. Another foil. Take the island, port me, so I can combo, but my opponent can port me off the foil. The other foil is not good. Actually, I need to chill for slightly longer. Okay. I need to have another land untapped. Opponent threatening Giant Decree of Justice soon. They have 2 cards in hand. Maybe I shouldn't play so scared of their 2 cards. Maybe it doesn't matter because they're just going to go down to 1 card in hand. So yeah, because of the port, meaning the port being able to always take me off foil basically means I should not be so chill, unless of course the draw becomes like Vision Charm. Maybe I should have Sabo's Web around. Impulse will let me find another land. Impulse could let me find Gush too, and could also let me find Plowshares eventually or Disenchant. Probably foil pitching foil if my opponent does anything, or maybe even foil pitching Annul. Opponent going for something huge. Never mind. So at this point, I really need to hurry because Decree of Justice is just going to be a little bit too good. A little bit gigantic, huh? Okay, we want that Vision Charm, right? Dreadnought, Vision Charm. And then we need a land for the foil backup on the active turn. I guess I didn't want the Vision Charm. I wanted the land because I've got so many foils. So that was kind of a miss. Meddling Mage naming Swords to Plowshares. Interesting. 2 Swords to Plowshares used already. Disenchant? Question mark. At this point, I can actually... This turn, I could have just gone Dreadnought. Well, no, my opponent could have tapped with Port. Port's kind of annoying, huh? What do we name? I don't like how I've navigated this game, as you can see. So what am I scared of? Disenchant. Scared of Decree of Justice. Obviously can't name that. Wrath of God is also good. Since Wrath of God hits my opponent's Glow Rider as well, I think we're going to go with Disenchant. They're more of a Seal of Cleansing type person. They showed me the Seal of Cleansing. So we'll just name Swords of Plowshares. Plus Disenchant's in our deck, right? So another Glow Rider. Guess I'm foiling the Glow Rider. No. I mean, I guess I am. It's freaking no point to letting it resolve and then having a bunch of foils in my hand. So we no longer like the Annul that much because we have the Stifle to cover a Seal of Cleansing. And we're not covered on Humility, but we never were. Also, opponent just only using white mana. Want to draw a land. I don't think I can wait. I honestly don't think I can wait. Okay. We stuck. Glow Rider's sick, huh? Now they could decree for 1 billion angels. Are you going to reveal Swords to Plowshares? Because that would be hilarious. I would love to. Yeah. Okay, well, at least we named the correct card. But yeah, if we had gotten this Dreadnought off while we had the Meddling Mage in play, would have been way better. All right, I'll trade you my last 3 cards for your last 1 card. And then you'll have 1 top deck. Imagine if my opponent's deck contained Icy Manipulator, huh? Are you going to give me my draw step to pitch the card that I draw, which could be not as good as Stifle? Cool matchup. We stick the foil, put it on 0 cards, living on a prayer, draw an island. We have used a lot of foils. So I'm going to play this island because I have Gush in my deck, even though I'm not very good at drawing them. Opponent could put, 4 toughness max. But yeah, I was on a 2-turn clock, so I really was on sort of the last turn that Dreadnought could have been a thing. Opponent drops the GGs. Yeah, unfortunate game 1 there, obviously. But some sick Glow Rider tech. I wonder if I would have taken the draw against this deck. Maybe I should. It's an interesting one. All right, let's jump into the second round of the playoff. Playing it against Plowmaster. I expect Plowmaster to be very prepared for my deck. I think blue-white's just a popular choice in playoff matches. Yeah, this gets there. It's not the sexiest hand, but we can turn 4 jam with protection. We can speed bump and jam. Getting elves did, so this is just going to be a jam. Hashtag believe. We can beat a Tangle Wire. Right. I mean, I'll daze the Tangle Wire anyways, right? I can also Vision Charm the Tangle Wire, but dazing the Tangle Wire is almost the same thing. That is a Gaia's Cradle. It's quite fast. Survival. Okay. That's enough mana to survival up a threat, but I can stifle the Vigilante. So the survival needs to be fast enough to go. But with being on the play and having a lot of mana, I could get raced. I do have Counterspell Stifle up on the turn after. I have Counterspell Daze Stifle up the turn after. So we have somewhat of a likelihood of being able to race this. But I don't think there's any world in which I don't just Dreadnought Vision Charm here. And yeah, so I think next turn they're going to go for the ramp up. Basically get Anger in the graveyard, get maybe some Priest in play, get Mountain in play, and then hopefully my permission is going to be able to stop everything. So I would have slam dunk one on the play, but here I have to worry about some stuff. Especially because the Cradle, basically. And then, yeah, obviously Tangle Wire is a huge nuisance. Tangle Wire can just put me in a horrible spot here. Be forced to stifle the trigger and then do this. But luckily I'll just be able to stifle this Vigilante. So Plowmaster going for their Controlling Root, thinking that I won't have the answer to the Vigilante, but I do. And It's going to make it really hard for him. Okay, so going for the double answer. So I can stifle the Tangle Wire trigger and then counterspell the Vigilante and then tap 3 to the Tangle Wire. So I think there's no better way to go than that. So Paulmaster with 1, 2, 3. Oh, he'll have Mountain. If he wants, he won't be able to... oh, well, the squeeze actually in the graveyard because he did the first squeeze. So we just have Vigilante in hand. So he gets Mountain at the end step, picks up Squee, has access to 4, 5, 6 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he gets guaranteed land drop with Query and 2 taps. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. With the potential of laundering mana through, drawing a creature. I'm just going to have to gamble on Paul not having he'll have to tap 1, 2, 3, so he'll have 6 mana. Gonna gamble on him not having a second broken thing, like a Utabi or a thing, but I don't think he'll have enough mana to do everything that he needs to do, so should be fine. And if he just wants to go for a Deranged Hermit here, that won't work either. It'll be choked up on mana. Pick up Squee, fade, tap 3. Probably Wire, Ranger, Elves. So 7 mana available. 3 cards in hand, 2 of which are unknown. So 1 unknown card. Waited to see if Mountain was necessary. Fetches. Mountain. 1. Goes for something. Goes for Anger. Second Gaia's Cradle is kind of the only thing I can see here. Priest with haste. What if I just counterspell this? Already used his land drop. Well, I know his hand is Vigilante Anger. So I just counter this, and then he only has 3 mana. His hand is Vigilante Anger. Now you can pitch Anger, get Priest. I gotta counter this. Has 3 mana, pitches Anger, gets Priest, taps 3, and then is short. But can untap Priest on his turn for the Vigilante activation with the Quirion Ranger. And obviously I can't Daze because I want the 3 permanents. On the other hand, Priest, 3. So Priest, 3 mana, pitches Anger, can get Symbiote, and can Symbiote trick the Ranger. I'm pretty sure I have to counter this. I have to counter this and then Daze the... counter this and then Daze the Vigilante? Or Daze the next Priest, get tapped down, and then it just doesn't work. I think I have to counter the Vigilante. But he'll have access to a huge amount of mana, which is obviously not what I want. It's kind of a weird spot. So I have access to 6, 7 mana. Counter this. Gets Priest, goes for a Vigilante, Daze the Vigilante, and then... But then he'll have a Priest Ranger in play, and he'll just be able to do broken stuff. Well, this Tangle Wire came at the right time. So I think my only out... I'm pretty sure I'm dead with Cradle and Priest in play going into next turn. So I have to let this resolve, let him have infinite mana, and then live with the consequences, because I can't just let my Dreadnought get tapped down and then pass the turn just to stick something on the Vigilante. Also, I don't know why it's the Magic Online bug. Probably gets priority back. It's kind of a weird thing. So I counter the Priest, 3 mana. If he goes for face down Vigilante, I Daze it, but then can untap. He's got Cradle and Craziness. Priest resolves. So Priest resolves. My next card is a land, right? So it would have been like Priest resolves. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. Pitch Anger, 6 mana. Can get a mana multiplier, basically get Symbiote, and then channel all the mana through Symbiote. So tap for 3, Play Symbiote, pick up Korean Ranger, play Korean Ranger, tap for 3 again. Pick up, oh, it just goes for Well-Wisher and goes for multiple Well-Wisher untaps. Well-Wisher only gains 4 here, 4, 8. Well-Wisher for just to chill. Interesting. I guess I didn't see Well-Wisher as the line, but it's basically just going to be the same. Morph. Counterspell to morph. But I'm just going to die to... just going to die next turn with the this amount of mana and the potential for whatever. I was going to hope he runs into Daze somehow, but it's kind of impossible. So I can obviously draw Swords to Plowshares, which would be completely insane, obviously. But I'm going to draw land because I know that the land is on top. Yeah. Takes the correct line here. We can't really gush because we're under the wire. And there's nothing we're gushing for. We're really just gushing for Plow. 4 mana, 8 mana, Symbiote, 11 mana. Could do the Cradle trick. It's tapping 2 next turn. So I can get 2 more gains, 8. Can gain much more than 8 though, because it can put a lot of elves in play. So it gains minimum 8. Hit for 3, it goes up to 11. Could go up to more. Gush for Plowshares, and then maybe it could just kill me. Do I have any better options? I don't think I do. I did hit the Plowshares. It's very interesting. If I Daze, I get tapped under the wire. I want to Plowshares now because Cradle and an additional activation. I think Paulmaster should be able to do 18 damage to me. Or just kill my Dreadnought. Either or. Squee. Why does... Oh, he has a forest in hand. Tap 2 that are completely irrelevant. Should be able to put together a kill. Obviously, if I had Plowshares foil, that'd be broken. So I did have to counter Priest, Daze, whatever. Next turn, tap down. Wouldn't have been pretty. Because he would have just still had the Vigilante at the start of the next turn. So if Paulmaster had to use Yavimaya Granger for the mountain, I'd probably get him, but he was just too efficient with the Wood Foothills, the guy's Cradle. Really hard to imagine not dying here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is just enough to get a Hermit, and then this works the same way. Yep, very efficient. Get to see the Elves deck kind of go through its sequences. So yeah, unfortunately we're on the draw. Hate to see it. I was lower seeded in the playoffs, so if we were doing seeding for the play draw, that would have been the same thing. Pick up, yep. Replay, plenty of mana. Oh, Ranger. So we used Squee Ranger, so we might have missed on our draw for the turn. We've already used Symbiote, so we're gonna play a Deranged Hermit. And then trade with the Dreadnought, maybe. Kamal's not going to be enough. Kamal's going to cost 6. And then we'll have 4 mana. I have 6 mana to activate, but then it won't be enough damage. So yeah, we're lucky Paul missed on the drawing a creature for this turn. Future creature just would have been like another Symbiote or whatever, and then should be enough damage. We are one short because this is 8, 9, 10, 11. We're one short of covering. It's just going to block with all the squirrels. And then next turn, we'll be able to kill me with like a double Hermit situation. Yeah. Nothing to do here but lose. I wonder if letting the Well-Wisher survive would have been a thing. I'm unsure about this sequence here. Can't pick up the Deranged Hermit anymore. So can of course pick up the Llanowar Elves, tap mana, pick up the Llanowar Elves. Oh, just go for a Caller of the Claw, of course. The main deck Caller of the Claw. That's a good one. And then we're going to get the guy naming Bear. Non-token creature. Interesting. Should still be enough. I'm just going to die. See what kind of Elves player Paulmaster is. Hermit. 5 mana for Hermit. Pick up, probably Daze this. It's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's technically short, and he has to pick it up and have enough mana. Can, of course, survival. Pick it up, survival for another hermit. I think doing this now forces him to tap the Priest of Titania for 2 mana, so could end up mattering. Of course, he now has enough toughness for covering the Phyrexian Dreadnought. Can also pick up the Caller of Claw and just get on Caller of Claw, but yeah. 2, 4, 12, 14. No symbiote activation yet. 1 mana floating. Should probably pick one up, untap, put 2 more mana, and pick one up, untap, put 2 more mana in. Can't pick up the Hermit. 6 has to have 12 here. It could have been a bad Daze because I can impulse into Swords to Plowshares if I had the extra land in play to tap 2 for Daze, or tap 1 for Tanglewire, impulse, and then Plowshares. So no action. Serves with the creatures that he can, that he's planning on serving with. He's got exactly enough. Tap 1, give me something good. Dreadnought has to stay, but then I'm like certainly dead, right? I have to trade with all these guys. 8, 12. So if I don't trade with all these guys, just pays the Echo. I'll be at 14 with a mage in play. He won't be able to cast another deranged hermit. I feel like the Tribal Force Mage must be around here somewhere. Wouldn't have minded drawing a foil this game. So, I can't attack with the Dreadnought and trade it for all this. I can Meddling Mage, naming Deranged Hermit. I'll have 2 blocks on the next attack, so that can guarantee at least 9, 10, 11 damage. Plus, like, you could just get, like, Kamal. Yeah. Maybe the Daze was bad? Hard to say. I feel like the Daze mattered, but maybe I had to not play the Daze. I only have 1 Plowshares left in the deck, so Meddling Mage. Maybe like I had to like operate under this Tanglewire better. And Hermit. Man, what a time to if I just had a pump spell. We are going to have Echo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can pay without Cradle, crucially. I could have maybe impulsed into Stifle to like stifle the next payoff thing that happens, like stifle the Force Mage trigger. I do have Elf slightly ahead of Dreadnought, and this is why, but crazy how close it was. Like I said, being on the play just makes all the difference. I just Daze the Tanglewire. So let's see how greedy Pablo got, if he got rid of any payoff. But what he could do here is just go get Mastercore my Meddling Mage down, and then pick up his Hermit, play it again, and then serve for lethal. But yeah, just want some clues as to what's in his list. Plays the Elf for free, sort of, but I would rather get a wildcard creature here. Might not matter, because like I said, he kind of already had it with the Squee Mastercore line I described. Oh, he's going to make a trillion mana. Symbiote has been used. Symbiote used. Llanowar Elves picked up. We have an active Ranger. Kamal is the payoff. And untap Priest. 5. Just needs 11. Looks like he has more than 11. 11 is the answer. Holding priority. Pretend to pay cost. Should have freaked him out for a moment. Just has to press the button. I'm not good at math, but I think that does it. Okay. Man, we actually would have hit if possibly didn't Daze. Wow. Okay. Sometimes unlucky. These are all relevant cards. On the play, Daze is actually kind of okay. Ironically, I don't like Swords to Plowshares. So what normally happens is they just have naturalize and stuff. We basically always just like Meddling Mage, go for a Meddling Mage on Survival of the Fittest, and then kind of let the rest cook. So we'll just make our deck just slightly more like do this stuff, like suppression stuff, and then less like trying to just counter removal spells. Because if I can contain survival and the elves, it just kind of, I'll let the rest take care of itself. Counterspell really only has, well, Counterspell's better on the play. Daze and Counterspell are better on the play. Daze doesn't get survival on the play through an elf, but Counterspell does. Meddling Mage, of course, does. Meddling Mage can always name Naturalize. Foil's an interesting one. Foil's kind of important, but it's like hard to put myself in a position to foil profitably in a sense because it's hard to foil without Gush. I'm going to be like, I'm not really going to want to foil a Naturalize. Obviously, drawing 2, you just pitch the foil to foil. We could also trim a land. We'll just maybe do a mixed approach. Plowshares just doesn't really have that many targets. Well-Wisher, of course, was a target, but, you know, there's always symbiotes and stuff that get in the way. So Plowshares inevitably just ends up forcing him to find a symbiote, which like kind of doesn't matter a lot of times. The only time it really matters is plowsharing the turn 1 guy. And like even then, I'm like a 9 white source deck, so it's hard for me to even have white on turn 1. I think this is just a better plan. Stop survival, win the game. Okay, this is a crazy hand. I'm glad we didn't board out a land. And yeah, I think we're just gonna keep this because it's crazy. Like if I draw the land on turn 4, like isn't it still great? I mean, I'm gonna draw the land right away because we're champs here. Well, we drew the land, and this one's easy. Priest. Man, do I want a Cursed Totem or hold up Vision Charm? My answer is, of course, pretty clear. Having not drawn the land. And then, yeah, we're just covered on everything. Unbelievably covered. Priest is, of course, a good turn to play, but it's not a good turn to play against Dreadnought. Pretty lucky top deck land, if I do say so myself. But, you know, got to play to get lucky. Goes for the Naturalize. We will go for the Vision Charm. And then if we draw a land, it's crazy, but we can just still pass back. Playing around Daze with the Naturalize. 3. Tango Wire. That's fine. Symbiote. Sure. And Stifle that. And, you know, little 5-turn game. 5-turn game with super brokenness. All right. So we get to board out our Dazes. Yay. Counterspell is also slow. So we can consider just bringing Swords to Plowshares back so that we can plow some dorks and try to gain tempo back. We can just try to put together better hands with Impulse. I like the idea of having Impulse to find my Cursed Totem. We were in so many spots where Plowshares Hermit would have won us the game last game, but it's really hard to kind of justify such a narrow situation. It's just like we just need to stop survival of the fittest, you know. So I'll bring back in the foil because foils. I'll use up all the cards in my hand to foil a survival on turn 2. That's like totally fine. I will point out I'm a big Impulse fan. I'm not a big Impulse fan against elves. Just like really want to spend all your mana every turn and just try to get your hand to work. So, but it's okay. Because we have the foil, do we want Daze to support the foil? Maybe, maybe not. This is probably fine. Hope we draw Annul in our opening hand for the important interaction. But see, like, so I have elves favored. Like, look at how hard elves has to work, you know? It's like, okay, well, mull to 5, you know, mull to 6. It's like, has to mull because of the potential of just getting pressured out of the game. And now I've got a hand with Annul, so I can stop Tangle Wire, I can stop Survival of the Fittest, and I can just, like, be relaxed instead of doing anything. And I have Impulse, so I can cast stuff in a turn and Portent and stuff like that. Land Elves is fine. I could stifle this fetch land if I wanted to. Well, I have a Portent, but I might want to get planes here. So we're going to chill for 1 turn. And even though I have Portent Annul up, I want to Annul and then Impulse, probably. Well, Annul and then Portent with the fetch land equity. Gets the mountain right away. Smells like survival to me. Okay. Priest is obviously a good mana engine. So is Guy's Cradle. Okay, so we're kind of in a interesting spot here where there's some stuff that is kind of scary. We have the Stifle to cover a deranged hermit. We have Counterspell. Honestly, Counterspell's kind of good here. Okay, so we're pretty afraid of pressure. We want to hold the Stifle for the purpose of stifling the Dreadnought, or stifling a deranged hermit, which is like the only way that he can put pressure that's not an enchantment or artifact. But I might counterspell something like a Masticore, and I could counterspell a Tangle Wire to be mana efficient. So it's kind of interesting. And I have Gush, so I've got a lot of dig, so I don't really need more Portents. And a land wouldn't be horrible, but let's see what happens. Okay, let's open on Portent. Foil, Vision Charm. Interesting. I'm going to shuffle that. I don't need a foil. Okay. So we have Dreadnought, Stifle, Counterspell Protection. Our opponent has infinite mana, but not infinite cards. So yeah, the Deranged Hermit. So yeah, I'm going to Counterspell the Deranged Hermit. 3 mana for survival. Ugh, jeez. Do I Gush? Like, I no longer have enough backup. Man, I guess I should have Stifled. I should have been worried about exactly this jam. But if I Stifled, I would have been short. And if I let it resolve, I'm dead. I mean, this survival is going to kill me. So let's Gush. Find a foil or a Disenchant. Nope. Which is good. I mean, if I didn't Gush, I could have Impulsed. Floats the mana. No creature. So I can now, oh, I can't Portent into Disenchant either. Jesus. This isn't good, but at least next turn it's just, we're just getting squee. I'm like definitely going to cast Counterspell next turn. Shit. Yeah, this is not the spot. This is not a good spot. Annul, of course, no longer has any targets. Obviously, if Paulmaster top decks a Tangle Wire, GG. But I'm actually just going to Stifle this. I should have planned on this. So I need to stop. I need to stop him from getting squee. So I should have Portented, obviously. Okay, so I'm going to Stifle again, and then what am I going to do? Am I going to double Dreadnought, Vision Charm? Double Dreadnought with Vision Charms up? Well, I can't, obviously, because I would need to draw an extra land for that. So single Dreadnought, Vision Charm, followed by Vision Charm. I feel like 100% of the time, Pablo Survival of the Fittest's out a creature, like the first creature that he draws. So drawing a Vision Charm is no good for me. So why don't I just Impulse for a Disenchant? Like if he wedges that one in, then fine. But we're also trying to live in a no naturalize world, which is completely, gamble, but it's fine. Okay, I mean, Adarkar Wastes is no. I mean, Vision Charm is better probably. Double Vision Charm, and then I just die. Double Vision Charm, and then I just die. Single Vision Charm, Stifle the first survival thing. So Vision Charm. So I'm going to go single Vision Charm. I'm going to Stifle the next survival activation. And then I'll have Counterspell up for the next thing. So land just makes the most sense, I think. Well, no, Vision Charm makes the most sense. Because if I draw a land, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Dreadnought, Vision Charm in response to the Naturalize. Yeah, okay. Cool. This has got to be the most difficult match of Dreadnought I've ever played. If it's second Naturalize, I mean, okay. It's not. So we get to Stifle the next survival activation, and then we get to Counterspell the next survival activation. There's no squee value anymore. So obviously we need Paulmaster to brick on land. And then his other card was Tabby, which is so wild. It's just a Kamal, naked Kamal. Biorhythm off the top. It wasn't a creature. It was not a creature. It was indeed Biorhythm. That's why you don't misplay game 1. The margin was so tight. Just like not cast Gush. Ooh. I mean, I have to think about if those how correct those stifles were. They felt super correct because I just needed, like, as soon as the squee engine gets going, like stifling is just like time walking, because once the squee engine gets going, Paul can tutor up. I mean, even if you just tutored up, like, just tutoring up squee, then during Charmit is just like too good from that spot. So I think stifling was correct. I mean, it's trading 1 for 1, right? So it can't be too bad. What a biorhythm. Well, GG's Paulmaster, and good luck in the rest of them. So yeah, that's the playoff. GG's to Paulmaster, knocking me out in pretty spectacular fashion. Really sweet match. Probably shouldn't have even survived the first match if it wasn't for my opponent's sort of Wrath of God misplay. But we learned an important lesson. Phase out is not in play, even though Magic Online sort of makes it looks like it was in play. So apologies to KC for that unfortunate mishap. And Dreadnought still feels super powerful. Obviously, super difficult. I often say that this deck is super boring. It was not super boring in that match against elves. I will tell you that. I clearly could have played slightly differently to open up different lines, close other lines. So that was interesting, and it definitely made things close. Of course, the times that you do win, sometimes you just win by a mile, right? You've got Dreadnought double protection, and your opponent didn't even have like 2 removal spells, right? So you're just like, oh, well, I have another counterspell. That happens a lot. In this case, it didn't happen. But I suggest everyone continues to respect this deck. I think that it's got a lot of bobbing and weaving, and but you can also kind of see the gameplay pattern against a deck like elves. Elves kind of can sometimes play a controlling role, or put themselves in a situation where they can resolve or go for Deranged Hermit and Survival of the Fittest in the same turn. So yeah, that was a fun match. I really need to go back and look on that. I'm like, oh, if I stifled the Deranged Hermit, I'd have Annul for survival. I don't know if it was incredible patience on Paul Master's part to hold back that survival until he could test spell it, jam it through. If he had the soul read on Annul. So all those things, super cool. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.